All right, let's talk about Josh Simmons, who was selected with the 32nd pick in the NFL draft as the Chiefs ended up trading back a slot and still being able to select a tackle that they wanted. And so, for the Kansas City Chiefs, who definitely, have to pay attention to the offensive line after kind of what went wrong last year, I was interested in seeing just exactly how good he is. So I figured let's make a film study and talk about him. So let's start off with the play you see on your screen. It's going to be a run blocking play where he's going to go out and try to block someone further over. Watch. As you see, when this play begins, he gets out, but ultimately the defender who he's going up against kind of gets further towards the outside than, Simmons wants in this situation. And sometimes this wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but clearly the running back here is trying to get towards the edge. Because of that, the defensive player does get to the running back. Running back ends up breaking the tackle anyway, but ultimately, it's not a great block from Simmons, and sorry to start off with a negative, but this is the negative. He is not a ferocious run blocker. You kind of hope that he can just survive, and I would say when he has one-on-one blocks, he can survive. Like more traditional things, something like this, for example, what's going to happen is he is going to be blocking just a guard one-on-one. I think this stuff he's fine at, which is really most of what the Chiefs like to do anyway. Watch how when this play begins, you see how he's able to get the hand placement he wants. He's able to get in position. And at this point, I've heard a lot of people say, like, he's not the strongest tackle in the world. I think usually in run blocking, once he can just get in position, he's okay. Watch, he's able to, fully finish off this block really well. And again, that's a guard. So that's that's a interior defensive lineman. That's a bigger player, right? But he's able to handle him pretty easily. I would say sometimes the moving in run blocking, it's not his specialty. Like this one's another example where it's going to be a double team block and the tackle is going to be the one going up to the next level to block a linebacker. This isn't something that happens too often, and it's certainly not something the Chiefs do, so I don't think they care that much about it, which is why they're okay with this. But it is a flaw on his tape. Watch how when this play begins, you see that first gets bumped a little bit, but should be mostly in good position to be able to get out and block the linebacker. However, a little bit of contact at the line kind of trips him up, and he's ultimately not able to make that play. The linebacker did make the play instead. So, again, this is just not a specialty. You watch a lot of tape, you do start to notice that he just doesn't win on these at the rate that you would like. But also, okay, let's just be honest. This is not what the Chiefs have drafted Josh Simmons for at all, right? I mean, if you're a Chiefs fan, you're saying, okay, can you show something relevant? Because who cares? The point of having a good tackle for the Chiefs is to protect Patrick Mahomes so he doesn't have to do what he did last year, which was, in my opinion, have to carry that offense through game after game because they just couldn't block for him. There was no downfield passing even attempts because, other than Worthy, they didn't really have a great deep threat, and even Worthy, I think, is still developing as a player. But they couldn't block. They want to pass protecting tackle, and Simmons should be able to do exactly that. Like, let's go over here. So on this one, it's a play that you see that they're, edge rusher on this play. Worth noting, empty backfield. So college football, you could still run in an empty backfield by having a quarterback run or doing something weird. College football gets weird, but if you're an edge rusher, you can feel pretty comfortable. This is probably going to be a pass rush wrap. Well, when this play begins, you're going to see that right here. You see Simmons' hands. This is my favorite part about Simmons in pass protection, is I think he does a very good job of reaching his hands out, and especially his right hand, which is not usually a hand you talk about when we're talking about a left tackle. Usually the left tackle, it's that left hand that matters so much. But you see how he always kind of just bumps the edge rusher off and off with his right hand, that at this point, he's able to latch the left hand on if he wants to. The edge rusher decides to disengage and try again, but at this point, all he can try and do is bull rush Simmons, and it's really not in position to do anything. Now, nothing was open downfield, but there is a little bit of a window for the quarterback to run, and let's just be honest, this is something you want to pay attention to if you're the Chiefs, is how well not only does your tackle win, but how often can he get the edge rusher far enough out of the play that your quarterback can potentially run around him, because Mahomes is, he's deadly in the pocket, but he might be the deadliest quarterback of all time outside of the pocket, so you definitely love when he can do that. And here you see Will Howard's able to get outside the pocket. So, really good play here by Josh Simmons. And I do think that his pass protecting is where he thrives. That's why he got drafted, is for his pass protecting. I think that the negatives in his game honestly just mean that the Chiefs were able to draft a better player because yes, those things will still matter, but that's not what they value as much in the tackle position. Like, again, this play, it's going to be a one-on-one block once again right here. This time there is a back in the backfield, and there will be a play action. So, okay, a little bit of help there for the offensive lineman. Defensive lineman doesn't exactly know what's happening. But still, when this play begins, you see that right here, edge rusher sticks his left arm out onto that right shoulder area. But really just going to try to overpower Simmons. That's kind of the plan right here. But you see, he's really not able to do so. Really, when Simmons gets the hand placement he wants, he is fine when it comes to power. I think sometimes the lack of power really is just not getting the hand placement perfectly and getting overpowered that way, which doesn't happen too often in pass protecting. So, yeah, I think that this is mostly what I see when I watch his tape. Ultimately, I do think that Simmons is really a great pick here at pick 32 for the Kansas City Chiefs. As I said, there are some negatives on his tape, but you're getting him at 32. That's you're not going to get a perfectly polished prospect at that spot. And a big part of why he did fall was because of injury-related stuff, which hopefully just he can, come back from and everything will be fine there. Because that would obviously suck otherwise. But I do have some questions about the Chiefs' offensive line as a whole. Just because, so they went out and they added Jalen Moore, and they also have now drafted Josh Simmons. I do have some questions about guard. Now, there was the report that Sumatea, they might actually feel okay about if you give him a full year in training camp, letting him be the guard eventually. I still felt like last year, kind of an underrated issue was once they put Thuney to tackle, they also struggled at guard then. That was a problem in the Super Bowl was they had a guy who really should be a backup starting in the Super Bowl, and that just makes things difficult, right? So I guess the one dilemma and the one maybe downside of this, which is usually not a downside, is I don't really see him as a guy who could transition to guard. I think he is a tackle through and through, which usually, okay, fine, that's what you want. Tackles are more valuable than guards in the eyes of the NFL. The NFL pays tackles more than guards for a reason, right? But in this scenario, maybe it would have actually helped to have some versatility, or maybe they want to move more inside. I don't exactly know what the plan is, but ultimately, they needed to have more than just, a guy who had been a backup, a good backup, but a backup in Jalen Moore. They needed more than that, no pun intended, heading into this season at the tackle position, and they have done that. So I still think this is a very strong pick by Kansas City. But that's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.